Mega Starmie. I don't know why they made this thing, but it is a brand new Mega Evolution from Pokemon ZA available in competitive Pokemon for the first time in Pokemon Champions. It gets huge power, one of the better abilities out of all the new Mega Evolutions, so let's see if it is going to be viable in Pokemon Champions with this current build built by a world champion himself that went 20-0 undefeated to get into Master Ball rank. This Starmie team was built by the 2017 world champion Ryota, getting 20 wins straight to get into Masterball Tier, and features some pretty interesting stuff with the coaching Sneasler paired with the Mega Starmie alongside having substitute Mega Starmie and having access to Calm Mind Sylveon. Let's break down the team. So design-wise aside, Mega Starmie is a really interesting Mega Evolution because it gets access to huge power, and huge power is able to double its attack stat, which is why we use it over its base 130 special attack, which is actually pretty decent, but base 100 attack with huge power is such a huge multiplier. It is able to do a lot of damage on the physical side. And we are running an animate nature in order to maximize its attack, because even though you could go Jolly and then you'd be able to outspeed some situational mons, maybe like Mouse Hole that you aren't able to, you could speed type of opposing Sneasler, you actually want to underspeed Sneasler because you have your own Sneasler that has coaching, which would give the ally an attack and defense boost, aka the Starmie. So you want to make sure that you get the attack boost before you actually fire off a move. So that's why we are running a slower Starmie, and there's actually a big difference as well for Adamant versus Jolly. If you go with an Adamant nature with max attack, you hit an attack stat of 167, while if you go with a max attack with a neutral nature on Starmie, it's going to be 152 attack. So it would actually be about 15 points difference wise, not too much, right? Normally. However, with huge power, that's actually going to be a 30-point difference in the attack stats. So that's a pretty significant amount of stat points that you could be having with just running the animate nature, and just, you know, you are still able to outspeed Pokemon like that Charizard, for example, Pokemon like the Eternal Flood, Garchomp, but you will again sacrifice a little bit in order to not be able to outspeed maybe some of the more situational mods. The EV spread, again, you want to capitalize max attack, you want to run max speed, because this thing has pretty good natural bulk, base 105 defenses, and 60 HP isn't great. However, it is able to usually survive one attack at least, and fire back again with a pretty powerful hit. We're running Liquidation and Zen Headbutt as the same type of attack bonus moves, and then Substitute, because Substitute can be nice because Starmie is weak to Sucker Punch especially, and being able to set up a Substitute when the opponent is playing passive can really allow the Starmie to take an extra hit and again fire off massive damage behind that Substitute while the opponent isn't having the ability to actually threaten the Starmie immediately. Pairing with the Starmie is going to be Sneasler, and Sneasler, of course, one of the best Pokemon in the format. It makes a lot of sense. But this is a bit of a different Sneasler. It does have access to Fake Out and Close Combat, pretty standard on Sneasler. However, this one has access to Rock Slide and Coaching. So Rock Slide, I'm assuming it's mainly for the Charizard format, because Charizard Y is such a big common Pokemon. And of course, if you do have a Starmie that wants to go for water type moves, it's going to be reducing the Sun, so the opponent's very likely to bring the Charizard. You want to be able to threaten the Charizard. So having a Rock Slide could catch the opponents off guard and threaten that damage. It also can be good spread damage, and of course if you get a flinch, that could be a free substitute or another way to reposition, which is pretty solid. So EV spread, it's a Focus Sash Sneasler. It's pretty much a simple just max speed, max attack angle, and you want max speed to be able to make sure you outspeed your own Starmie, get a coaching off, faster Fake Out as well, which is also pretty nice. And the rest just going into HP and defense with the Unburden ability, which is also really good with the Focus Sash, because if the Focus Sash is activated, you will have the Unburden, which means that you will be able to have a double speed with Sneasler, which is pretty nice in this format. So next Pokemon we have is going to be Incineroar. No need for introductions. Incineroar is one of the best Pokemon in general. It is having access to Intimidate to lower the attack stat of both opponents, Fake Out support, Parting Shot to be able to lower the attack and special attack of the target and then pivot out. It is a really great mon and has great coverage, great bulk, great attack stat. This was built a bit differently though, and as you can see, a lot, and I mean a lot of attack investment for Incineroar. Normally we see Incineroar invest mostly into bulk, but this one is going with a lot of attack investment in order to go for a really powerful Flare Blitz into Pokemon like Sinistcha, into Pokemon like the Corviknight, which, let me just say, Iron Defense Corviknight is definitely one of the worst matchups for this team. Like, it is really hard to break through Corviknight, so being able to hit those steel types like Corviknight and Aegislash, which could be pretty threatening to the team overall, and also the fact that it could take advantage of the coaching boost, so it can be pretty solid at actually dishing out a ton of damage. It's a pretty standard Incineroar. Otherwise, though, you still have a good amount of HP. You have the Citrus Berry to be able to survive usually, and paired with the Sinistcha, you do have recovery on the Incineroar. It does Incineroar things, but it actually has a bit more offensive pressure on this team, which is pretty nice. Next Pokemon we have is going to be Sylveon, and Sylveon's a really nice choice in this format because of its high special defense, high special attack stat, has access to fairy coverage, and with its ability Pixelate, the normal type moves that it has access to will get a little bit of a boost, 20%, and also turn into a fairy type, so you get a same type attack bonus. So it's actually able to do pretty well with Hyper Voice, able to dish out a ton of damage. This one's running Calm Mind because you also have Incineroar and Sinistcha that you could use as a secondary setup mon. So the Sylveon can go for the special side and really threaten there. And Hyper Voice is able to do a ton of damage as a spread move. Helping Hand if you need to Helping Hand and support the ally to get a knockout potentially, like Sneasler Close Combat or Starmie. Calm Mind is nice in order to be able to be a setup sweeper, and then Detect is always great here. The EV spread on the Sylveon, it has a good amount of special attack, but you still want to have a lot of physical defense because one of the weakest stats on Sylveon is going to be its physical defense. It's not exactly that high, so you want to be able to take the physical attacks even without Incineroar, so being able to have a lot of defense investment is pretty crucial. The HP investment still a good amount, and then just a little bit of extra in speed. Next Pokemon we have is going to be Kingambit, one of the best Pokemon in the format really because its coverage is really solid. The Dark and Steel as a defensive typing is incredible, and then just having all the options of the Dark, Steel, and the fighting coverage is really nice in this format. This one's not running the Steel coverage, but it is still able to do a ton of damage, especially with the max attack that it is invested, near max HP, and just a little bit that speed creeps other Pokemon, like for instance opposing Kingambit, so you can go for a low kick against them. And overall, this Kingambit is supposed to help out at matchups, especially against opposing Kingambit, because you want a secondary answer to Kingambit, because you have a lot of Pokemon weak to Kingambit, like your Sylveon. Incineroar doesn't want to give it a Defiant boost, Mega Starmie, and yeah, you do have a Sneasler, but I mean, once the Sneasler's Focus Sash is gone, the Sucker Punch is always threatening, and of course Sinistcha. So you want a backup answer to Kingambits or opposing Kingambits, which is nice here. You want answers into the Mega Gengar. You want to at least be able to threaten Pokemon like Frostlass and the Mega Delphox, so you have Sucker Punch at least as a threat, and you want to be able to scare away Intimidate because of its Defiant ability, which is able to raise the Kingambit's attack stat by 2 stages every time a stat is lowered from the opposing side, so you can at least threaten away Intimidate utilizing the Kingambit. And also this can be a great coaching mon as well, because the +1 attack and defense makes Kingambit pretty hard to stop. Final Pokemon on this team is going to be Sinistcha, and this one's a pretty specially defensive Sinistcha because you do have Intimidate to help out on the physical side, but you also want to make sure you take attacks from like the Mega Gengar, as well as a few other ones, Charizard Y outside of Sun, and of course the Frostlass. So you have a pretty defensive Sinistcha. You have Trick Room as a form of speed control on this team because you don't have speed control otherwise. Shadow Ball's pretty nice coverage for the ghost types. Mega Gardevoir too. Matcha Gotcha, great grass type move, which is able to get some recovery and burn. And then Rage Powder Redirection is always helpful for setup mons like the Substitute on the Starmie, as well as the Calm Mind on the Sylveon. It's just a great mon, especially with the hospitality that it does have access to, which is able to heal a Pokemon upon switching. So that is really great to have here, and it does help out the Starmie as well as the Sylveon and Kingambit as well, but it has just been a great mon to have in this current format. So how to use the team? Well, most of the idea behind this team is to be able to set up usually with either your Starmie or your Sylveon, because if Starmie is able to sweep, you do have access to the coaching with Sneasler, and you can go for some pretty good offense with the coaching boost onto the Starmie, the attack and defense, which is pretty solid, and then fire off a really big boosted huge power attack onto your opponent. Also, like just close combat liquidation and close combat Zen Headbutt do hurt pretty well here. You also have access to Sylveon, where if you think that Calm Mind Sylveon is able to do really well against your opponent, you can go with something like Incineroar plus Sylveon, which is also pretty effective. Go for that Intimidate to help out Sylveon take the physical attacks better, set up the Calm Minds, and then try to heal it with the Sinistcha in the back. There's quite a few ways. I say generally lead-wise, you could also lead Kingambit if you think that Kingambit's good in the matchup, and or if they have Intimidate, which can help out, especially because if they lead Intimidate Mon into the Kingambit, the boosted Kingambit can really go crazy, especially if you stack it with Sneasler. Sneasler is just a generally good lead because it has access to Fake Out. Same with Incineroar. You can lead one of your Pokemon next to it. Generally, you always want to keep Sinistcha in the back. You most likely don't want to lead Sinistcha other than very specific matches where maybe you want to get Trick 'em up, maybe like Sinistcha and Incineroar, and then have Sylveon and Kingambit back, maybe, but I would say that's super situational. Your general leads, you probably want to lead Sneasler or Incineroar paired with another like Starmie, Kingambit, Sylveon, dish out a ton of damage immediately, or just go for the setup. If you'd like to check out the details of the team and the creator, they'll be linked in the description down below. But otherwise, let's get started and play some games with Mega Starmie. All right, we have the Mega Floette, the Sneasler, Sinistcha, Incineroar, Aerodactyl, and Garchomp. All right, this is going to be one heck of a game. What do I want to lead here? Do I want to lead Sneasler right off the bat? I think it's pretty good. Sylveon's not bad here, yet the Floette is kind of concerning. Again, I feel like I don't have the best answer to Floette with the team, but we are going to try our best. I think Sneasler plus Starmie or Starmie Instant is a pretty good general lead for the most part. I kind of like the Sneasler plus Starmie with Instant and Sinistcha back. I just like the idea of getting the coaching up immediately because I feel like getting a coaching up would be great for the Starmie, but we'll see how this goes. Now, trying to figure out what they could go here. Aerodactyl is a bit annoying because they do get access to speed control, but it's going to be the Sneasler and the Incineroar. So, going to lead my own Incineroar, but I actually don't think this is that bad of a lead here, as I do lead the Starmie and the Sneasler. Curious if they go for a Fake Out plus a attack into the Starmie. With either Pokemon, they both have access to Fake Out. I kind of like the idea of just getting a coaching up with the Starmie immediately and going for a Protect with my Starmie. Yeah, I like that idea. They're actually going to retreat the Incineroar, which is fine. They're going to go on a Sinistcha. Okay, that makes sense. As they protect Sneasler. So, I mean, I at least get a defense boost for free. I don't know if it's, like, super helpful here, but I mean, it's not bad. It is not bad. As I do get the coaching off immediately into the Starmie, so it is going to be +1 defense and neutral attack, which is decent. But yeah, I wouldn't say this is the best possible scenario because dealing with the Sinistcha will still be annoying. Yet I could go out into Incineroar here, which isn't terrible. Maybe I go for coaching into Incin. I kind of like that actually. I think I'm going to go for coaching and I'm going to go into Incin. I expect the Sneasler to retreat into their own Incin and Machigacha to come out here. Yeah, exactly. So they're going to switch out their Sneasler into the Incin, but this is actually a pretty decent position because now I get a +1 onto my Starmie, so I can actually threaten the Sinistcha with a knockout with Flare Blitz. So I think that's actually pretty decent. I'll also get a defense boost, so I don't actually have to retreat against the Sneasler right off the bat. So we'll go for a coaching into the Incin this time and boost up our attack and defense here because they didn't want to take like a Zen Headbutt there, and they did want to go for Machigacha in that slot to get damage on Starmie because their damage to Starmie wasn't that great. So this works out pretty well for me, and now I could either go for coaching again, or do I just want to go for a close combat and get some damage in Incineroar? I think at this point I kind of need to get some damage off, and I don't want to switch into Machigacha with anything really. So I think I'm actually going to go for a Flare Blitz attempt into the Sinistcha, and I'm going to go for close combat into Incin. They're going to go for a Fake Out, which is fine, into my Incin, but they're not really getting too much right here, as look at all this damage I'm about to get to Incin. Like, that is still some pretty decent damage for a -2 close combat into the Incin slot. And I still threaten the Sinistcha the next turn. They go for Machigacha. Sneasler avoids, which is really nice. Since the only thing I really don't want to worry about is a burn, that actually works out pretty well for me. So yeah, I mean, at this point, it's looking pretty decent here. I kind of like the position of just being able to swap out the Sneasler at this point, because I might as well save Sneasler so I can get a coaching off later. Sinistcha is tempting. They might Flare Blitz Matcha Gotcha though, which is concerning. But I do like the idea of going Sinistcha, heal my Incineroar a little bit. And let's go for a Darkest Lariat into the Sinistcha. I don't think they're going to switch out Sinistcha into Sneasler because that's super risky on their side. Maybe Garchomp if they have it, but I do like the idea of getting in Sinistcha now. Getting the healing on the Incineroar with the Hospitality. And let's see what they decide to go for. It is going to be Matcha Gotcha, so probably Matcha Gotcha Flare Blitz. It does pin the Sinistcha slot, but I actually don't mind training our Sinistchas because I think it benefits me because my Starmie looks really incredible in this match otherwise. As they burn my Sinistcha, which is fine. I do get the Darkest Lariat off into the Sinistcha, and it does take the knockout. That is +1 attack Darkest Lariat from a very physically oriented Incineroar. So Sinistcha goes down as they actually go for Parting Shot into my Incin. So my Incin is going to be back at neutral attack, still going to be at +1 defense. So this is still pretty huge. My Sinistcha is actually healthy in the round, so I've already won the Pokemon number. Float going to come out, which makes sense. Dealing with the Float's going to be a bit annoying, but I don't think this is too bad. Yeah, I don't think this is too bad. This is Incin coming in. Yep, for the Intim again. That makes sense. The only problem is it's not super ideal of a spot, but it's like okay. I think my best play is to go Sneasler and just go for a Parting Shot attempt into the Float. The reason why I think this is the best play is because of the fact that they're probably just going to fake out my Incineroar and maybe Calm Mind with the Float. I could double swap here, but I'm a bit worried if they do just go straight for the Moonblast with the Float. So Sneasler, it's not necessary to win this game, I feel. I think Starmie's definitely the mon I'm going to need to win the game. So if they go for Calm Mind, I see a line where I fake out the next turn to Float and try to get Starmie in, which I think is pretty good for me. So they will Mega Evolve with the Float, which makes sense. Have that Fairy Aura on deck. They do go for the Moonblast immediately. Again, as I said before, I don't really need my Sneasler in the game. Sure, was it good? It was decent, but it wasn't necessary to win. So we will see the Sneasler go down, as we do get a Parting Shot off into the Float here. And now I would probably want to go, this is the weird part. I think I always go Sinistcha here because they're probably going for the Parting Shot into my Sinistcha slot. Oh, they went for Throw Chop instead. I mean, it caught the Starmie on the switch too, so that makes sense. But I actually really like the spot now, because they didn't Parting Shot, so now I can go for Liquidation, and that's actually a pretty nice turn for me. Yeah, I think I like the idea of just getting Starmie in and going for a Liquidation into the Incin, kind of isolating the Float while it's at -1 special attack right now. So I do like the idea of just going for the Liquidation, going for a into the Incin slot, and going for, I could Rage Powder or I could go for Matcha Gotcha. Both work. I could go into Incin. All of them are okay plays. I think I'd rather go Incin because Sinistcha goes down to Moonblast. If I get isolated with just the Starmie, I don't think it's great to deal with these Pokemon, because then Incineroar's going to switch out, get Intimidate, then Starmie's locked into -1. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's great. So I think I'd rather go for this, as they do bring in the Sneasler, which I think it's going to depend. Does Sneasler survive this? Are you Sash or not? So we got Mega Starmie on deck here. I have no idea how this mon's going to go. Liquidation going to come out into the Sneasler. It does pick up the knockout, so it was probably wider, but I assumed that with Aerodactyl usually, so that's actually really good for me. And they're going to go for Moonblast and target down the Incineroar slot. Yeah, they tried to isolate the Starmie, so I got intimidated. This actually works out really well for me because I do have the Citrus Berry to heal the Incineroar. And now I can go for Fake Out into the Float, and I can go for Liquidation into the Incineroar. And this is a pretty nice spot because at this point, now I'll be able to get in the Starmie again. So we go for Liquidation, we go for Fake Out. If we trade Fake Outs, that's fine. I guess if their Incin's faster and they go for the Fake Out in my Incin and Moonblast KO, not as great of a spot, but I could still win with Liquidation and Zen Headbutt. It depends on how much the Float does, but we will get a Fake Out off into the Float. Oh, they didn't Fake Out, which means they lose their Incin, and that means I think the game is won here. Yeah, the game is won here. Nice. As Float flinches and cannot move. And the battle's gonna be forfeit because I could switch out Starmie into Sinistcha, get the Hospitality, then go for Parting Shot into the Floette. They can't boost to like, you know, KO the Starmie. They can't knock out unless they crit, I suppose. And then I Parting Shot out into Starmie. I can go for like Rage Powder plus Liquidation the following turn. And then, yeah, it's kind of like pretty bad spot for them. So felt really happy with how I was able to get the Starmie in and position it pretty well. I thought the big KO into the Sinistcha was really good for me because they were scared of probably a Flare Blitz. They can't really switch in Sneasler. It's just so risky to lose your Sneasler there. But Mega Starmie was able to take a few KOs, which was pretty good. And of course, it would have taken the final KO against Floette most likely. All right, we have Tyranitar, Garchomp, Glimmora, Gyarados, Sinistcha, and Aegislash. Aegislash is definitely the most concerning mon. That thing is very scary to deal with. I also got to be careful about my fake outs because it can activate the toxic spikes on my side of the field, which isn't great to deal with. Dealing with potential megas, there's 4 potential megas right here. So I got to figure out which one of them I want to make sure that I have coverage for. It's probably going to be Mega Glim most likely, but if it isn't, it could be scary. I do like the Starmie as a lead overall. Starmie is pretty good. Starmie Instant seems pretty solid. Just getting an Intimidate off, being able to threaten the Aegislash with the Instant is pretty good because I really need Starmie plus Sneasler. A little bit worried about the Aegislash. I don't think I can knock it out with coaching immediately, so there's that in mind. Starmie lead also threatens Glimmora, which is pretty good. I do like the Incin. The rest I'm kind of concerned about because I don't know if I want to bring Sinistcha or if I want to bring Sylveon, because Sylveon's actually really good against my opponent's team. Good into the Gyarados, but I guess so is Sinistcha. I think Sneasler, Sinistcha is probably fine. I really like the idea of Sylveon Hyper Voice. It does so much damage to their team. But I guess it's not a guarantee. It's not really necessary, Mon. It would be nice to have another Shoutable switch in because its high special defense would allow me to take the attacks pretty well, but I don't think it's worth it. I think having the healing is pretty nice, especially to get my Sash back on Sneasler against the sand stuff. So we're going to see Garchomp Glimmora. This is actually really ideal of a lead here, as I do lead Incin plus the Incineroar. Okay. No Wider Up on the Garchomp. Seems pretty solid to me. I have access to Fake Out, and I will go for Fake Parting Shot or Fake Out. I think I like the idea of going for the Liquidation immediately. Or I could go for Zen, but I think Liquidation is just more consistent in general. And I think I'm going to go for Parting Shot into the Garchomp. Because even if I get Toxic Spikes up, I can just go into Sneasler, so it's not too bad. Alright. So this is a pretty ideal turn. I guess I could, what, Earthquake plus Spiky Shield. That's fine. I get a free, I could go out into Sinistcha. They protect. Is this double protect? Double protect is fine. Oh, is it Sash? No, they just wanted a T-Spike up, but that's perfectly acceptable. Okay. So I get the Glim and trade a T-Spike, but I do have Sneasler in the back, so it's not like that bad. It's not that bad at all. Okay. As we go for a Parting Shot into the Garchomp. So, kind of curious if they expected me to target the Garchomp immediately, but I mean, that hecka worked out for me. Also, Tyranitar coming in. Is this Scarf? I mean, I think I just want to protect the Starmie here for sure. And probably just go into Sneasler. I don't think you protect Earthquake here. You could, I suppose. But that's fine. Oh, they swapped out Tyranitar to go Gyarados or Sinistcha. Okay, that's not what I expected. Are they going for EQ still? Okay, so they didn't bring Gyarados, which means no Intimidate is nice. So I bring out the Sneasler to get rid of the T-Spike so I can switch in pretty safely. Mega Garchomp. Okay. I might be losing my... Sneasler here, unfortunately. Because they're probably EQing, I imagine. Self-EQ for the Sneasler? Oh, Earth Power. What? Wait. It's special. Interesting. Huh. So it's Sand Force special. I wonder if they had... That is so weird for me, because I'm trying to figure out how I play around this. I do want to Shadow Ball off into their Sinistcha. If I get the damage onto their Sinistcha, I think I win, but we'll see. I'm going to go Sinistcha. It doesn't look like the Garchomp can do that much damage to me. I get Hospitality, which is nice. I could sub. They could Matcha Gotcha, the Starmie, and Earth Power, which is the concerning part. But I think Instant is always my play, and I think I always want to get a Shadow Ball off in the Sinistcha, because I need the damage in the Sinistcha. If I get the damage in the Sinistcha, it's nice. And also, like, Matcha Gotcha they might be scared of, so they don't want to double in a T-Tar, which is a problem with if I went Instant initially. So I want the damage into the Sinistcha specifically. They go for Draco, which is fine. This is not going to KO at all. Yeah, this thing doesn't have great special attack, and I do have decent special defense. Unless they also have... Okay, I was about to say, there's no way you also have... like, if they also had... Okay, they crit my Sinistcha, which is actually really annoying, but that's fine. I just need to Shadow Ball damage off. Okay, cool. Very nice. Ooh, good special defense drop. It's still not an easy spot because Sinistcha doesn't have Protect here. I don't go down to Earth Power with my Instant, which is nice. I could go for Darkest Lariat, but it's very likely the Sinistcha probably swaps out. But I guess the Garchomp could switch out too. If the Garchomp switches out, they can't knock out my Sinistcha though. I think my best play is to go for a Matcha Gotcha plus a Parting Shot into the Sinistcha slot. If they switch out that slot in the Garchomp, or Tyranitar, that's fine. I get a pretty nice Starmie position that's in. Oh, I didn't think they would have Protect on Sinistcha, because Protect is not as common. Okay. I will get healing with my Sinistcha, though, at least. If we get a burn, that would be really good. I guess I should have Parting Shot out the Garchomp, which actually I should have now that I think about it. Garchomp was very unlikely to protect. It was either going to go to Draco Meteor. I thought I could get Parting Shot off in Tyranitar, but that did not work out. Now they're going to either Rock Slide or Crunch. Probably I'd say Rock Slide. Actually, they might Crunch to knock out the Sinistcha, which is acceptable. I think we Parting Shot out the Sinistcha, and we go for Matcha Gotcha here because I think that they have to preserve Sinistcha for the Starmie. Oh, they don't. They go for Rock Slide instead. Incineroar dodges. Sinistcha does not dodge, but it's still hanging on. Okay. They're faster. They get this Matcha Gotcha. Sinistcha survives, which is clutch. That's a really clutch survival. Okay. And we get the Matcha Gotcha off, so we don't go down to Sand, which is a really nice turn. Yeah, that's really nice. I get a bunch of damage off. Okay, huge. Huge. I was like wondering why they didn't go for the Dark move. That works out. And I'm surprised they risked Sinistcha, because I feel like if they risk Sinistcha, it's not a great spot against the Starmie. And now Starmie can come in. Very nice. Now Starmie's in a great spot. And the sand is wearing down as well. The sand is wearing down. It's the last turn of sand, so they won't have Sand Force for the Garchomp potentially, which is nice for me. Liquidation's always my play in the Sinistcha, and I think I always Rage Powder here. Yeah. To avoid Starmie going down to a Crunch. And Sinistcha, I guess if there's only like a few plays that could go wrong here, but they also have to guess the target. Because if I Liquidation the T-Tar slot, they're also in bad shape. So they don't have a safe mid ground, I think. So they might just try to go for a Matcha Gotcha Crunch into Starmie. So that's why I'm trying to get the KO onto the Sinistcha here, which I do, which is great here. So Sinistcha goes down, fantastic. That's a really nice KO. And then they're going to go for Crunch. No, they go for Rock Slide again for some reason. Starmie avoids, which is nice. I don't have to take extra damage. I think Sinistcha lives... Oh no, I didn't party shot the T-Tar slot. Okay, that's fine. The T-Tar has never protected, which is really interesting. So I'm kind of curious on what the set is. Garchomp gonna come in. Do they have protect? You have to have protect, right? You have to have protect. I have Fake Out and I have Substitute and I have Liquidation. There's a bunch of mind games here. If I expect a double protect here, you know, I could sub here. I don't think sub's a bad play. No, but they Earth Power. If I expect double protect, I go for sub. I just don't know because the way the T-Tar is played has feel like it just clicked Rock Slide, and maybe it's Scarf T-Tar that underspeeds base 120s. Which does make sense. It could be Scarf, actually. Because I feel like the Dark move was optimal in a lot of positions. Yeah, I think it is, actually. So I will be able to get a Liquidation off into the T-Tar. I think it is Scarf. The way they've been playing, it does feel like Scarf damage. So Tyranitar goes down, which is excellent. The extra damage on Starmie doesn't really matter too much here. Because what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click Substitute, and I'm just going to click Darkest Lariat. Because the Garchomp, since it's special, has to choose a move here where it can only target down either the Starmie or the Instant slot. If it targets down the Instant slot, I get a free Substitute up, which means that I can go for 2 Liquidations, which should KO Mega Garchomp, I imagine. And if they target down the Starmie, then I get a Darkest Lariat, and I can go for the cycle around every time. So they go for Earth Power, it knocks out my Instant, but now I think I get 2 Liquidations off into the Garchomp. I can fish, if it does into a KO the Garchomp for some reason, even though it's chipped and I have huge power, which I imagine KOs, I have a chance for 2 crits and a defense drop on the first Liquidation. So let's see how much this does. But I imagine this is going to be way more than enough. Yeah, exactly. It does 60% or 68%. As Overpower is going to come out into the Starmie, but doesn't really matter because Starmie will outspeed, go for the Liquidation, KO the Garchomp, and that will be victory. So, ooh, all right, very solid. It could have been a bit scary. Again, they played a bit more aggressive with their Tyranitar and their Sinistcha. I guess it being Choice Scarf Tyranitar does make sense. The special Mega Garchomp threw me off because, like, I know it does get the Sandforce Earth Power damage, but it's not like the craziest damage as we saw from the Draco Meteor from the Sinistcha. I think there are probably other places I could have gone to try and get rid of the Sinistcha a bit earlier, but and I also wasn't expecting Protect. However, it did work out for us. Like at the end of the day, Starmie was actually able to put in a ton of work in the end game, especially once I was able to get rid of the Sinistcha, as we saw. All right, we have Glimmora, Dragonite, Kingambit, Basculegion, Alolan Ninetales, and Sneasler. This is literally what would be a Regulation H team. It could be Mega Dragonite or Mega Glimmora, probably Mega Glimmora. Normally you would see Volcarona over the Glimmora slot, and that's literally a carbon copy of one of the most popular Regulation H teams in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet VGC. So yeah, that's interesting. I like Sneasler plus Starmie a lot. I gotta watch out for Bask though. Bask is pretty hard to deal with. I gotta watch out for Bask. But I don't think I have a bad matchup. Is Sylveon it? I don't think so. I think I need Gambit for the Basculegion. I like Sneasler Starmie because it puts a lot of pressure on Kingambit. Otherwise, Starmie puts in a lot of pressure. And then I think Instant and Kingambit myself. Sinistcha has Rage Powder, but it doesn't really do much for me if I can't really knock out the Bass with partner. So yeah, I'm going to need Kingambit healthy in this game for sure. Dealing with the Alolan Ninetales should be fine. The Sneasler should be fine. Curious on what the Dragonite set is. Most of them, of course, were the Scale Shot set with the loaded dice back in Regulation H in Scarlet Violet when we had the loaded dice. A beautiful held item. Well, actually, I'm a huge, not big fan of Scale Shot Dragonite. I refuse to use that thing in Regulation H. Because Scale Shot missed more times than like any other 90% accurate move I know in the history of the game. So let's see how this goes here. As we are going to see what lead here. Ninetales Sneasler. Okay. Starmie is really good offensively against this, so this is pretty good for me. I can go for quite a few plays here. I can I wonder if it's Sash Ninetales. A lot of the teams I think ran Sash Ninetales back in the day. I kind of like the idea of just going for a fake out into the Ninetales. I do want to deny Aurora Veil if possible. And I'm a little bit worried because the fake out into Dire Claw is actually kind of threatening. I think I might go for sub here. There's a chance one of these Pokemon switches out into Kingambit, but okay, no Kingambit switch. All right, we bring out the Starmie with its Mega. Let's see what they do. Are we trading fake outs? All right, fake out gonna come out into the Ninetales. Oh, are we going for fake out speed tie? Okay, I guess we're going for fake out speed tie. Oh, it's Scarf Ninetales. Interesting. Okay. Scarf Ninetales. If that's the case, I think Incin is always my play on this slot and just protect my Starmie here. Huh. Okay, so it's Scarf Ninetales, good to know. They didn't switch out the Ninetales into Kingambit, which is really nice. I get the Incin in. I guess I get to find out if it is going to be one of those White Herb Sneaslers. It is White Herb, okay. So Sash is still available on one of their Mons. And we're going to protect the Starmie. The reason is I don't want to take like Dazzling Gleam Dire Claw, or I don't want to see Encore if it is Scarf Ninetales because they could run it. They go for the Dire Claw into the Starmie slot, perfect, and Freeze Dry. Okay, works out really well here for me, as you can see. Beautiful. Do we think the Sneasler has Protect? Because it's a free fake out into the Alolan Ninetales. The question is, what do I want to do with the Starmie? Do I want to take the KO on Sneasler? The only problem is if Sneasler has Protect, I am worried about Basket Legion switching in. But I guess I do have counterplay to that with Kingambit in mind, so I'm pretty sure Liquidation's enough to beat the Sneasler, so I'm going to just beat down the Sneasler with Liquidation. Okay, they stay in and attack with both Pokemon, which is perfect for me, so they go for Dire Claw to break the sub. That's understandable, okay. So Starmie will have its sub faded as we go for a Liquidation. This should KO the Sneasler, I imagine. With huge power, yeah. Because Sneasler does not have the best physical defense in the world, so get rid of the Sneasler, huge. We know the Ninetales is locked into Freeze Dry, which probably knocks out the Starmie at 75%, I imagine. Although Alolan Ninetales is really weak special defense. Basket Legion going to come in. Probably going to go for an attack into the Incin for the knockout. Do I value Sneasler or do I value Incin more? Realistically, I don't need... Incin's nice, though, for the Ninetales, which I am kind of concerned about because I actually don't do the most damage to Ninetales. It might be just sack Sneasler for the Incin slot and go out into my Kingambit. Yeah. Actually, was there a reason to protect this turn? I debated about going hard Kingambit on the Freeze Dry. I was worried about the freeze, but then again, I mean, Starmie probably still has to switch out the next turn anyway, so it's not like an ideal turn either way. They go for Freeze Dry. And Waterfall. Not Liquidation? I guess you could flinch. But it's just funny. Okay. Actually, I think best case then is for me to go out into an Incin. Because I know Waterfall definitely doesn't knock out the Incin after the Intimidate, and then I can fake out the Ninetales and just go for Liquidation. Yeah, I like that, because if it's the... I do like that, actually, yeah. I'm going to go for Liquidation into the Ninetales and fake out. Because I do have my Kingambit in the back to deal with the Basque. Ninetales is actually kind of annoying because I don't have Iron Head, so I want to get rid of the Ninetales. If they switch out, they don't exactly have a good switch, so we'll definitely take this. And again, Liquidation doesn't KO the Incin. If they switch out the Bass to reset the Intim, that's really good for me, because then I think my Kingambit wins. We're going to get a Fake Out off into the Ninetales. Even though they have a defense boost with the Snow, I'm pretty sure Liquidation KOs. It's not Scarf. Oh, wait, we know it's not Scarf Basque, actually. Is this fine? This might be fine still. I mean, I do lose Starmie. I should have thought about that. I'm like, oh, it's Scarf Bass locked in. That might not be the case. Although I'm not really too worried about Last Respect. It's just going to come down to what your last mon is. Which most of them, since Sneasler's gone, don't really like Kingambit. If it's Dragonite, though, I guess that's concerning. Glamora. Oh, I messed up heavily. I messed up heavily by not going Gambit. Well, I mean, Gambit didn't give me a guaranteed win, but this is not a great spot. I think it's Sash on the Basque. They can't KO Incin with the Bass, but they can KO my Gambit with it. I think our play is to double up the Glamora. I wish I had Iron Head, but I don't have Iron Head, unfortunately. So we're going to go for the double up in the Glim. Because we know it's Mega and is going to go for the Mega Evolution. I think this is probably screwed. I mean, unless they protect Basque and go for a Power Gem. They go for Jet. Oh, to play around the Sucker Punch. Okay, I mean, I didn't fall for it. Does that mean it's not Sash? Because I don't think this KOs. Yeah, it doesn't KO. Huh. Oh, it's going to be a Mind Game the next turn. This doesn't KO. I need to double up to KO. I think that should KO. Darkest Lair and Kowtow. Yeah, okay. We do KO the Glim. They were scouting for, I think, Protect Incin, which is really good for me. Okay, they messed up. But I mean, I messed up, but that's sometimes Pokemon for you. I'm going to go for Darkest Lariat and Kowtow. Actually, no, I just Sucker here. Yeah, I just Sucker here. Because they're never jetting in this position. They have to Waterfall. And if they jet, Kingambit lives. The Incin gets the Darkest Lariat off no matter what. Yeah. Also, if they jet, it's probably not Sash, right? What would be Sash on this team, though? Because it's definitely not Dragonite. Yeah, I get the Sucker Punch. No, it was Sash. I guess they just want to dodge the Sucker Punch. I thought they could just go for Waterfall the last turn. Huh. They do go for the Waterfall and a Gambit, perfect. They were probably hoping to 1v1 my Incin with like a Waterfall Flinch or Crit, which is in bad odds. That's also why I decided to go for Sucker Punch there, because even if they jetted, I felt like I was in a pretty reasonable spot to win if I do get the Sucker Punch off. And yeah, I am able to eliminate the Bass. The only way is if they Waterfall Crit the Incin immediately, and then we play Aqua Jet Sucker Punch Mind Games from there. But okay, closer than I thought. I didn't actually think they had Glim in the back that time. I thought they had Gambit, but I guess if they're like Swords Dance Gambit, it kind of makes sense. But I really thought they wouldn't have brought Glim because I thought Kingambit as well as the Starmie would have like deterred them from bringing the Glamora, but I guess I should have respected it a bit more. So I should have probably brought in Gambit, threatened the Sucker Punch, but even then it's still weird. I guess I could go Incin for the Starmie, then after that, like I say, go Gambit, go for like Kowtow into the Bass, hard swap to Incin. I guess it wouldn't have been that bad of a situation, which is probably the line I should have taken over what I did of going hard Incin and Fake Out Liquidation when I saw that it's not Scarf Bass because it's Scarf Ninetales. All right, we have Venusaur, Delphox, Garchomp, Whimsicott, Kingambit, and Corviknight. I'm kind of curious because usually if there's no Charizard, it usually means Venusaur could be a Mega Evolution, but they could have just have Sunny Day on Whimsicott, so it could be dual Mega. Delphox will definitely be a Mega. Garchomp could be a Mega, but probably not. And I assume Venusaur would be a secondary Mega. All right, how do I want to approach this? Because this matchup, it's not the easiest, I'd say. Luckily, Starmie with Zen Headbutt's pretty good here into the Venusaur, so that's at least one thing. And Starmie's good into Delphox. I'm good into both my opponent's Mega Evolutions. The Garchomp's the most concerning mon. So I think I'm just going to go with the classic. Starmie Incin with, or Sneasler Starmie with Sinistcha Incin back. Corviknight's not bad. Or Sylveon and Kingambit kind of struggle against Corviknight. This team does kind of struggle against Corviknight in general. Especially if it's bulk up. And especially if it's Iron Defense and I don't have the Starmie set up immediately. But I think this is pretty reasonable to have here. Because Kingambit only has Dark type moves. It's not really worth it against this team. And Sylveon only has Hyper Voice, which against Garchomp and Whimsicott and Kingambit, yeah, I'd love the Hyper Voice damage. Against the big threat of the Corviknight, not really. Sinistcha at least can heal my Starmie to make sure that I'm still around and have Rage Powder, which is actually kind of necessary, I feel. So I think that's probably my best play here. All right, what are you going to lead here? Garchomp and Delphox lead. Okay, this is pretty decent for me. As I lead Sneasler Starmie. How much do you respect the Starmie is a good question. I'm actually going to go for coaching immediately. Do I think this is Scarf Garchomp? I feel like with Whimsicott it shouldn't be. I have Fake Out pressure and I have pressure against the Garchomp, so I feel like they have to play defensive. I'm going to go for coaching plus liquidation. If this is Scarf Garchomp, I got it wrong on the lead. I think coaching into liquidation will KO the Garchomp. I could have seen Whimsicott trying to switch in on for like Encore situation. The Delphox Mega Evolved. I wonder if that means it's attacking here, or is it just protecting? Because Delphox shouldn't have anything for the. Oh, it is Scarf Garchomp. Okay, that's not great. Oh my goodness, I took so much. I just lost this. Oh, I was about to. Oh, that crit's so bad. This position was fine because I just got the Unburden boost, which means I get the +1 attack and defense. And Starmie was probably living the heat wave, unless they psychicked. Okay, we still in this, but the situation's still not ideal. Oh, because I'm about to take Rough Skin too. Liquidation. I did one-shot the Garchomp like I thought. I do hang on, but this is, again, nowhere near a good situation. Alright, we're going out into Sinistcha. Because we need that healing. We need that healing. Why'd they crit? I would have been in a decently healthy spot with Starmie. Oh, man. So we know it's probably not Venusaur back. At the very least. Corviknight. Okay. I wonder if I could one-shot Corv. I mean, my best play is probably just to go Incin here and just... Do I protect? I don't know if this is Encore Delphox. I think I just have to risk it anyway. I think next turn's also there's a lot of gambles that I have to make. But I think it just depends on the set. The crit puts me back so much here. I'll go Incin so I can threaten Fake Out, but also threaten the Hospitality at the same time. And then protect the Starmie. Let's see. I was worried about that. Okay, so it's not Encore at the very least. Don't be Tailwind 2. Okay, no, we're cooked. We're cooked. Iron Defense too. Like, if I didn't get crit, I actually had a position where I could go on the offense with liquidation. Which maybe I had to have gone for. Maybe liquidation into darkest. Yeah, I just gotta hope Starmie lives a psychic at this point. Do I live the psychic? I don't think I do. Yeah. Unfortunate. Because I actually think Starmie was in a pretty nice spot. Because I think Sinistcha would have gotten, like, if I didn't get crit, it was like, what? I'd be back around half HP after the Sinistcha was brought out. Then I could go for liquidation, switch to Incin. And I actually think it was a pretty decent spot. Because the Delphox definitely wouldn't have been able to KO. But Sometimes that is kind of a problem with this format and in general, but I feel like this format especially, sometimes one really bad crit at the start just ends it. Alright, we have Tyranitar, Excadrill, Rotom Wash, the Sinistcha, Corviknight, and Delphox. Okay, I feel pretty good about this. They don't have great answers to Starmie, which is nice. Sylveon unfortunately struggles against 2 steel types. It would be good for Rotom Wash, but otherwise not ideal. I think we just go with like Starmie plus Incin. Yeah, Starmie Incin seems pretty good with Sneasler, Sinistcha back. I like having the Starmie Incin lead this time because the Intimidate. I really like the idea of being able to maybe get a substitute up, which seems pretty good against this matchup specifically. I don't want to lead the Sneasler because if they lead Sand immediately, it gets a bit questionable. So I want to try to maybe like parting shot into Sneasler. But we'll see later on in the match. All right, let's see what they go here. What are you leading? Excadrill, Corviknight. I would have loved leading Sneasler here. It's fine though. I get an Intimidate off into Excadrill. Mirror Armor will bounce it back to the Incin. Corviknights don't usually carry Protect, so I will just go for Fake Out into the Corviknight immediately and try to remove the Corviknight before I can set up. If they switch out a Tyranitar, that's fine. I'm not really that worried about Excadrill at the current moment because after the Intimidates, I should be okay with Starmie, especially with Hospitality in the back. And if they switch out Excadrill, this works out really well for me. So they go into Sinistcha. Okay, super ideal turn. So I can threaten the Corviknight the next turn with Liquidation, which is really good for me. And I don't think Sinistcha can take the knockout to Starmie with Machagacha, at least at the start. So big Liquidation Fake Out into Corviknight. Huge power Liquidation. Did a lot. Although it looks like from the last game, I mean, I don't know what the spreads are. They could be different spreads. Maybe I didn't KO the Corviknight with +1 Liquidation regardless. So maybe I would have to gone for a crit. But we will go for a Liquidation here into the Corviknight. And I'm kind of okay with going for a Flare Blitz into the Sinistcha. I do want to get rid of Sinistcha. It is a kind of annoying mon to deal with in general. Because if they Rage Powder, I mean, I get rid of Sinistcha. And like, what does Corviknight do? Does it Iron Defense? Does it bulk up immediately? So we do get the Liquidation off into the Sinistcha, which is nice. And they set up Iron Defense, but I mean, here's the problem with them setting up Iron Defense. They are still decently low here, so we will Flare Blitz into the Sinistcha slot. Okay. And we do have Darkest Lair out, which is good here. I wonder if we live a ground move from Excadrill. High horsepower, no. Earthquake, maybe. Excadrill in. I think it's probably Sash Excadrill. Like, I would assume it's Sash Excadrill. My play is always to go for Darkest Lair plus Liquidation into Corviknight regardless. Or actually, maybe I should have gone for Flare Blitz. I think Flare Blitz might be stronger. The thing is, they can't get a double knockout here, I'm pretty sure. So I get good Liquidation damage as long as I don't get defense dropped. Good, I didn't get defense dropped. High horsepower is fine into Incin. All right. And Tailwind. Okay, that's fine. Actually, how fast is this Corviknight? Still slower than Starmie, right? I'm like pretty sure. We did 30% with the Liquidation, so I think we're okay to just go for Liquidation again into the Corviknight. I feel like we'll outspeed the Corviknight. I'd be kind of surprised if we don't. But I am going to fake out the Excadrill and just go for Liquidation. It's a pretty safe play for the most part. I want to break a Sash on Excadrill. If it is Sash, Liquidation will KO the Corviknight ideally. So let's see. Alright, we get a Sash if it is Sash Excadrill. Excadrill flinches. Ooh, it's faster. But that's actually good because they went for a... Okay, they went for the Brave Bird, which means they take Recoil, which is interesting. They didn't get the KO on themselves, unfortunately, but I do get the Liquidation off into the Corviknight. So Corviknight goes down. Also, if it's Iron Defense, it's Body Press, so it just had no recovery on the Corviknight other than Leftovers. Okay, it was no Roost. I was attacking the Corviknight aggressively because of the roost problem. Tyranitar comes in. I think my best play is just to go Sinistcha and close combat the Tyranitar. The reason I think this is the best play is because I could see them going for double protect here. Oh wait, no, never mind. Oh, this was a bad play. This was a bad play. This was actually probably the only way I could lose. Because I forgot they had Tailwind and Sand Rush. So that means they outspeed Sneasler and take the knockout. And then I'm going down to Crunch from the Tyranitar. Wait, they protected? They were faster than my Sneasler. Okay, I guess we also had the same... I think we had the same fault line. We had the same fault line. Oh my goodness. I still don't think I haven't... No, I'm... It depends on the Excadrill's Rock Slide. Wait. Am I missing something? Are they Sand Force Excadrill? Are they... Because if there's Sand Rush, they have Sand Rush and Tailwind. I do have Unburden. Like, my initial thought process is what I expected was the fact that they double protect to KO the Sneasler in Sand. But my problem was that with Excadrill having both Sand Rush and Tailwind up, it means that it outsped my Unburdened Sneasler. So they could just go for a Crunch into my Starmie slot, and they could go for the attack into the Sneasler, probably Iron Head to take the knockout. I think I made a huge blunder there because I think the game-winning play is just to sack Sneasler, protect Starmie, and as long as I don't get Rock Slide Flinch to Oblivion, I can still Rage Powder Liquidation, take a knockout the following turn, and then protect the Starmie, because Starmie probably survives attacks as long as it's not like double Rock Slide maybe, and I get unlucky with flinches. I guess I could fight around, but yeah, I guess it was either Sand Force or I don't think it was Mold Breaker, because I'm pretty sure I didn't see Mold Breaker on the Excadrill, but maybe it was and I just missed it. I don't think it was though. All right, Kangaskhan, Incineroar, Kingambit, Torkoal, Farigiraf, Hatterene. Looks like a hard Trick Room team. All right. The Torkoal unfortunately makes things very difficult for my Starmie. There's a lot of Pokemon that I don't appreciate here. So that's not amazing right off the bat. I also can't really lead Sneasler against Kang Farigiraf lead. In fact, Kang Farigiraf lead is actually quite difficult. This might be a game where I consider leading Sinistcha just because of how weird the matchup is. But I can reverse trigger him, so I guess it's not too bad. I think I lead Incin plus Sinistcha. If they lead Kingambit, I'm just so screwed. If they lead Kingambit, I'm just so screwed. Am I bringing Sylveon into? Sylveon's not terrible. Kingambit's not bad, but it's not necessary. I think it's Sylveon plus... Because Sylveon's good offensively here. I think this is a matchup where I just can't bring the Starmie. But I'm not really a fan of Sneasler either, so this is rough. I think Sylveon, Sinistcha, Starmie, Incin is probably alright. Because I want to lead Sinistcha, because I feel like Kang Farigiraf is probably the toughest lead here. So what I can do against Kang plus the Farigiraf is I can go for Matcha Gotcha immediately, make them assume I don't have Trick Room. And once they Mega Evolve, I can go for a reverse Trick Room, switch to Incin, which I think is ideal here. But yeah, this is a weird matchup for me. I'm bringing Starmie just to see if it can work out. But yeah, it's going to be a tough one. Sylveon, Sinistcha, because I can't really damage Torkoal. Torkoal is kind of hard for me to damage regardless. With like Sneasler couldn't damage Torkoal really, and Kingambit can't either. So not the easiest. We're going to go for Detect here with our Sylveon, and we're just going to go for our Matcha Gotcha. They could hard swap the Gambit, and I could be in already a really rough spot. But I don't think they will, because are you going to risk Hyper Voice immediately? I don't think so. But yeah, this is going to be a very tough one here. But Matcha Gotcha seems pretty solid right off the bat because I'll get some decent chip damage unless they fake out Sinistcha, but I just don't see fake out Sinistcha. Sylveon is actually all offensive threat. So they are going to Mega Evolve, which is perfect. So now I can actually go Instant Intimidate because most Kangaskhan's are either Inner Focus or Scrappy, usually Scrappy, which is able to block Intimidate and prevent it. But now that they Mega Evolved, they don't have Scrappy anymore. So we detect our Sylveon, and let's see what the Kang went for. It's double edge immediately. I'm not surprised. Okay, perfect. Matcha Gotcha, we get some chip damage immediately. Nice. And a Trick Room, perfect. They could also go hard into Torkoal here. I don't think you ever go Torkoal. I really don't expect you to go Torkoal here. I think I just go, maybe for Farigiraf you can actually. I think I might place a reverse Trick Room and go to Incin. Because I get the Intimidate off, I can reverse Trick Room, and then maybe I could get the Farigiraf off the field. We'll see. Kang did retreat, okay. They did actually go Torkoal, so I actually was right about a lot of this stuff. Okay, nice. Oh, they have Imprisoned. Cute. That makes things a lot tougher. I don't have Protect, unfortunately, on the... I wish I Hyper Voice there. Hyper Voice damage would have been really nice now. Can I sack Sinistcha, or do I need Sinistcha? I guess Starmie probably lives 1. I could probably Parting Shot out the Torkoal and swap into Starmie. My only problem is Helping Hand Eruption is still going to do a bunch of damage, but there's no Eruption. They're going to see Farigiraf retreat, which is fine in a Kang. Alright. This could be an okay spot. How much does Eruption do? I think Starmie lives. Yeah, Starmie lives. Okay. Not terrible, because we can Parting Shot out the Torkoal, and we are kind of stalling out these Trick Room turns. They haven't been able to effectively use these Trick Room turns, which has been very solid for me. So I can go out into Sinistcha, heal my Starmie a little bit. I just got to make sure I position it to where I can make sure that they never get a Trick Room up again. But yeah, the Matcha. And now we can switch back to Incin for another round of Intimidate and probably just protect the Starmie. Okay, not terrible. I just gotta make sure that I nail the Giraffe when it tries to switch in at one point, because the Giraffe is super scary. I also gotta watch out for Kang, because Kang is still a threat. If I get more damage on the Kang, I can put it in Zen Headbutt range. I am a little bit worried about Sucker Punch though, as a threat. But yeah, we can go Incin here. And then we threaten a powerful Flare Blitz into the Kang slot. We protect Starmie. Let's see what they go for. They faked out the Starmie. Beautiful. And this is probably a Heat Wave or Eruption. This is Eruption. Yep. Okay, so Incin will eat this up. Cool. And then I think next turn I want to get in my Sylveon. It's the last turn of Trick Room as well, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, it's the last turn of Trick Room. So I can go for a Flare Blitz into the Kang and go out into my Sylveon. Because Sylveon is going to be in a pretty decent offensive spot. I think Torkoal wants to retreat here. It's not really doing too much. I could go into Sinistcha, but I'm not risking the Torkoal staying in and clicking Eruption. But yeah, they do switch out here, which makes sense to me. And bring out the Farigiraf. So they want to dodge a Fake Out, which of course that the Incin could have went for. But I think I want damage on Kang, because Kang's been pretty annoying for the match. So we will go for the Sylveon switch and a Flare Blitz. In Sun should do a lot of damage. We have a lot of attack investment. Oh my goodness, almost a knockout. As they go for double edge themselves, but they target the Sylveon. So does a good amount of damage, but it's not a knockout into Sylveon. So that's actually huge, because we are able to survive the double edge, and now Trick Room is over. We can double the Giraffe, because we know it's imprisoned Trick Room. I don't think it's likely it has Protect. We never got to confirm it, unfortunately, but actually were we able to? I think we Protect on a turn. Maybe I'm wrong here. Kingambit comes in though. Unironically, the Kingambit's still a threat, so I gotta think about this too. I think I just go for Darkest Lariat plus Hyper Voice though. Yeah, I think I just go for it. If the Kingambit's fast, it's kind of weird. Oh, they do have Protect. Okay. That's not good. I could have Flare Blitz the Gambit. but I would have lost a Torkoal endgame probably. I do get at least a good Hyper Voice off into the Gambit, but what are they going for? Oh, that did nothing actually. Oh no. Swords Dance. They're probably gonna Sucker Punch my Incin. Well, they know I can double. I think they have to Sucker Punch. I don't know into which slot though. Darkest Lair doesn't take enough. Actually, no, I can't let Trick 'em go up. This is so bad. I think my best place to go Sinistcha for the Incin and Hyper Voice. Yeah. This is kind of a rough spot. This is a very rough spot. Sucker Punch. Yeah, they had to Sucker Punch there. If I doubled the Giraffe, they just lost. So I get a Hyper Voice off, which is good at least. But this is still concerning. There's Citrus as well. Okay. This Trick 'em goes up. I think they imprison. I feel like their best place to imprison attack the Sylveon. Oh, this is super rough because it's like a mind game here. I think they attack the Sylveon with the Kingambit and they go for imprison because I can't punish it. I think I go for Matcha Gotcha Protect or Detect. I'm trying to think if there's like any way specifically out, but we'll see. They could go for Kowtow into the Sinistcha, but I don't think it's... Ah, they did. Okay, I think... Can we win? It's possible, but it's still really unlikely, I think. Twin Beam, okay. Alright, what are my outs here? If I go Incin, it doesn't help me here. I think I gotta go Starmie. Because I think I gotta get a call right. How many turns of Trick 'em are left? I think there's 3 more turns. Who are you going to target? I feel like if you get rid of Starmie, you instant with Torkoal, but you could just instant with Torkoal probably in general. I'm trying to think if there's any solution here. I feel like my best play, I need to get rid of Giraffe probably. I need to like Liquidation the Giraffe and I probably have to Hyper Voice. Maybe I think I have to commit actually on who they're attacking. But I feel like they get rid of Starmie, they probably are in an ideal spot to win. I need to get rid of Giraffe so I can fake out with my Incin and maybe have a chance. But yeah, this is not looking good. I think there's maybe one play I could go for, but we'll see. They do Iron Head the Sylveon. I should have went for the double protect. There was like that option as well. I did think about going for the double, but I wasn't sure if I should or not. Because if they target the Starmie, I just lose guaranteed. The Twin Beam, unfortunately, will put me into range of the Torkoal regardless. So I do get rid of the Giraffe, but unfortunately, the end game is just super rough. So it was Twin Beam. It was what? Twin Beam, Helping Hand, Imprison, Trick Room? Was that to set on the Giraffe? I think it was. We go Incin. I need to get rid of the Giraffe so I can actually go for a fake out and have a chance, but even then I think it's over. We got Torkoal. Maybe I had to sub. Maybe I should... Oh. Well, even if I sub with my Starmie, I think it's still really unlikely I win. There's too many turns of sunlight. They have Iron Head, Sucker Punch, Kowtow, so we know the Kingambit doesn't protect. They should just Kowtow and Eruption. Okay, maybe I could go for a throw where they target the instant slot instead? Okay, wait. I need to figure out who Gambit targets. I think you should Kowtow Instant, but if they Kowtow to Starmie and I live Eruption, I might be able to win. So that's what I'm going for, I think. I have to call the Kowtow and I gotta hope to live the Eruption here. Okay, I don't live the Eruption, so it's over. If I fake out Liquidation, I mean, Starmie was going down to Eruption anyway, so there was no out at this point. I think I just had to call the Giraffe having Protect earlier. Usually Imprison Giraffe doesn't run Protect, so that's why I thought I could just double up the Giraffe, because I'm used to like Trick Room, Helping Hand, Imprison, and then usually an attack, but they had Protect. Oh, wait, no. Wait, they had... I guess they didn't have Helping Hand. No, they didn't have Helping Hand. I just assumed they had Helping Hand. I thought I saw Helping Hand earlier, which is why I went for the line that I did, but I don't think it worked out, yeah. Even if I go for a double protect and stall out the Trick Room, I just lose the Sucker Punch. Yeah, it was going to be a rough matchup. I did think that matchup was really rough. I feel like we played it generally well for the most part. Maybe it was like Parting Shot the King instead of Flare Blitzing, because maybe I could get in like a healthier position and be able to go for like Matcha Gotcha while the King's at -1 and not doing too much. But yeah, it was pretty rough still to play around the Trick Room Giraffe because I don't have the best tools to deal with Torkoal under Trick Room. Alright, we have Charizard, Gardevoir, Whimsicott, Incineroar, Kingambit, and Garchomp. So 2 Mega Evolutions, or 3 potential, but Garchomp's usually not a Mega Evolution on these kinds of builds. It's probably just dual Mega in Charizard and Gardevoir. Could be Scarf Gardevoir. Charizard will always be a Mega on this team. I like Kingambit plus, or not Kingambit, Sneasler plus Starmie. It is generally pretty good, I'd say, against this team. I don't really like Sylveon too much. It can take the Hyper Voice, but can't really do much otherwise. Sucker Punch might be tempting to have on this, so I can like Sucker Punch an endgame Charizard, because under Tailwind's a little bit spooky. But I also do have Sinistcha that could set up Trick Room if they do. My only concern is just beating the Kingambit is a little bit rough. I mean, I do have Instant with Flare Blitz and Close Combat with Sneasler, but it's never an easy mon to deal with. So let's see what they decide to go. Curious on what they decide to lead here. Gonna be Gardevoir, Kingambit. Okay, so Sneasler lead is very nice. Traces the Unburden. Okay. So I can fake out the Kingambit, or I can fake out the Gardevoir. The Gardevoir should be scared of Dire Claw, unless they don't think that's going to be the case. I could fake out the Kingambit and go for like a Liquidation immediately, which isn't bad. Because I don't even know if Gardevoir would live the Liquidation. I think it depends on the spread. Oh, they switched out the Kingambit. Is this Garchomp? Okay, Incineroar. Not as bad. But not great. Not great. Okay. Ah, they did Mega Evolve, so I could have faked out Gardevoir and went for like a potential substitute. I did debate about that too, but I just felt sub is not necessary when Hyper Voice is threatening damage. I guess this is still okay. I do have Sash on both, and if they Trick Room, it's pretty alright for me because I do have Sinistcha that can take advantage of Trick Room. They did Trick Room. Okay, this is fine. It's not ideal, but it is pretty alright. So we're going to switch out Sneasler to Incin, and we're just going to go for Protect with our Starmie. So I get the Intimidate off into Incin. They didn't double the Incin, thankfully, in the Gambit. We go out into Incin. We have an Intimidate into the Incineroar. And also what's nice is we did chip the Gardevoir, so it's probably in Flare Blitz range. They go for Draw Chop into the Starmie. Okay. Do I KO the Incin with Liquidation? Maybe. Oh my goodness. I was about to say that did too much. That did too much. Oh no. That's an annoying crit. Alright, we saw Incin, we saw Gambit. Last one is probably Zar or Garchomp. I think my play here is just to always fake out the Gardevoir and just go for a Liquidation into the Incin. I imagine I live one Throat Chop with my Starmie. I assume Mega Starmie can live -1 Dark move. So I'm just going to go for Liquidation fake out. They switch out the Incin. This is probably Gambit. I'm not surprised about this. Yep. Gardevoir protects. Okay. Oh no, that is so bad. Why? The one time I don't want a Liquidation defense drop, man. Oh no. That is awful. They're probably switching Incin for the Gardevoir to get an Intimidate off and probably Kowtow. This is dangerous. I think I just gotta Flare Blitz and go to Sinistcha. I gotta sack Sinistcha in this case. If it's a Kowtow into this slot, I might even have to sack my... Oh man, this is not good. I might be losing 3 mons here in the next 2 turns. Oh, they stay in. You had to click low kick. Man, why did I get the defense drop? I lived that without the defense drop. Every time. Every time you target the Kingambit with something, it always goes wrong. Okay, on the bright side, we can go Sneasler. We can go Sneasler and threaten the Gardevoir with Shadow Ball. The problem is I'm still not liking how this endgame is looking likely, but we do have a chance. We're going to fake out the Kingambit. We're going to Shadow Ball the Gardevoir. I assume Sinistcha is going to be slower than Gardevoir always, so the question is, do I knock out Gardevoir? Because Gardevoir has really good special defense. We'll find out. They could also go to Incin here, which is also pretty reasonable for them. The upcoming turns are going to get very tricky. All right, wait, hold on. They give me a fake out into the Gambit. And here's Shadow Ball into Gardevoir. Do we take the KO? Okay, we do KO the Gardevoir. That's one good thing that happened. That's one good thing. Trigger returns to normal. Okay, I think they're forced to fake out the Sneasler. I think I have a decent line here. Yeah, I have a decent line, but if they go for Flare Blitz, I'm cooked. But I think they have to fake out the Sneasler, right? Because if they don't, Gambit go bye-bye. So I'm going to go into Starmie, and I'm going to Rage Powder to sack my Sinistcha to get into free switch to my Starmie. Yeah, okay, perfect. Okay, that's good. And I Rage Powdered. So we'll absorb the Kowtow Cleave that was meant for probably that slot. And I get Sneasler in and I preserve the Sash. Okay. So Sinistcha goes down. Perfect. And we go out into Sneasler now. And I think I have Mind Game still. I could fake out Liquidation the Incineroar slot. But I feel Gambit's very likely to protect anyway, so I'm actually going to threaten the close combat into the Incineroar slot and go for a substitute. I feel like Gambit most likely protects here. And Incin might switch out to Chomp, but that's fine. Yeah, perfect, okay. Nice. I mean, coaching would have been better, but this is still pretty good for me. Because I get a close combat off into the Garchomp. If it's not Scarf, I think I just win the game. Oh my goodness, I crit. And I get a substitute up. Good. Okay. I didn't want to take the knockout on Garchomp because they got free switch to Incin. Well, actually, no. It would have been fine with the sub up. But if I doubled the Garchomp the previous turn, then Incin comes in, and then it's a fake out plus bad situation. So, never worth it. I think we always go for liquidation into the Gambit slot. And I just don't know if it's Scarf Garchomp. Well, it's Scarf. If it's Scarf Garchomp, I feel like I'm in a really rough spot depending on what they do here. But you know what? I'm going to liquidation, double up the Gambit with close combat plus thing. They go for Sucker Punch into Starmie. Okay. The question is, what's the Garchomp? Are you Scarf? It is. I think I lose now because of that, unfortunately. I KO'd a Gambit. Gambit goes down. But I do not think I can beat Incin Chomp. Yeah, I can't beat Incin Chomp. Oh, I had to not break my sash the prior turn with close combat. I think I had to go for coaching. If I went for coaching in a Starmie, I think I would have had to hard read the Incin swap to Chomp. I was hoping it wasn't Scarf. Like, Scarf was the only item that could screw me over because they had Whimsicott, so I was like, is this Scarf Chomp? I don't know. The reason I went for the substitute is like I was pretty sure that Gambit didn't want to take a close combat or a fake out or into liquidation. Thought Garchomp was coming in. I couldn't knock out Garchomp with single liquidation. I think my best play would have had to been go for a coaching liquidation with Starmie into the Garchomp and then probably substitute close combat into the Kingambit the following turn. I think that would have probably been the play. But now, yeah, I just lose here. I'm just going to see how much if the stomping gets me at this range because it is base 105 defense, so it's not like terrible. We did take chip though. Yeah, we do survive. We would get the liquidation KO into Incin most likely. Maybe not. Okay, we do. But unfortunately, we cannot KO the guard. Oh, it's a crit. Because we are -1 huge power, I think. So I actually could have believed that the Incin survived. But yeah, Scarf Chomp. A lot of it did come down from Starmie liquidate self-defense drop though into the Gambit. Because if I didn't have to deal with the Gambit, the game was a lot easier, I think. And I mean a lot easier. Unlucky. Alright, we have Internal Floette, we have Basculegion, we have Sneasler, we have Farigiraf, Kingambit, and Garchomp. Interesting to see the Farigiraf on this team, because it's not a mod I would expect on this team. Maybe it's like an imprisoned Trick Room user, because the team doesn't look like it relies on Trick Room. The Mega Evolution will definitely be the Floette. Garchomp could, but probably not realistically. I do love Sneasler Kingambit lead, or Sneasler plus Starmie lead. The only problem is Basculegion's a really tough mon to handle. That mon is really threatening, so I gotta watch out for it. I think Sneasler Starmie is pretty solid. I think backwise, I probably want to bring the Kingambit Sinistcha. Oh boy. The Floette is going to be a bit of a tough mon to handle, but otherwise, like, I need Kingambit or Basculegion if it's Scarf. Destroys me with last respect. It absolutely destroys me. Or even just like Wave Crash endgame could be pretty terrible as well. So I kind kind of have to lead this, I think. Let's see how this goes. Sneasler Kingambit lead versus Starmie Sneasler. I don't think this is a bad lead here. Yeah, it's just going to come down to a few interesting questions. I could go for the fake out speed tie, which is definitely a thing here. Fake out the Kingambit and substitute doesn't seem like a bad play. And I feel like I'll go... Oh, wait, they could go in a giraffe, but they didn't go giraffe. But even if they went giraffe, the worst is they get is like a kowtow cleave off into the sub and break it, which is like acceptable, I think. You also wouldn't do that against close combat as well from, I think, the Sneasler. So I do fake out the Kingambit. Do they fake out themselves? Yeah, they always go for the fake out speed tie into my Sneasler. I don't know why. But I will get a substitute off with the Starmie, and now we're in a pretty good spot. Because now we threaten close combat into the Kingambit, and we threaten the liquidation into the Sneasler. We could go for Zen Headbutt, but I feel like Zen is pretty greedy when liquidation generally KOs most Sneaslers. So I'm willing to go just for the liquidation into the Sneasler. They retreat the Gambit into Basket Legion, I assume? Yeah, it's Basket Legion, which is fine. They go for Dire Claw into the Starmie, which is going to break the sub, but I don't think that's too bad for me. As I do go for the close combat into the Basket Legion, and I do go for the liquidation into the Sneasler. It is Sash Sneasler, okay. A little bit annoying, but acceptable. I wonder what they're going for. Last Respect in a Starmie and maybe attack the... I don't think it should ever be close combat. I think Starmie switches into Kingambit. I just don't know. I think I switch out to Sneasler and the Sinistcha. They're not going to Last Respect in this situation. The Sneasler slot. They might water move, which is fine actually for me. I think I just double swap here. What's nice about this switch order is that Sneasler switches out first, goes out into Sinistcha, gets the Hospitality off into the Starmie, so I get to heal, so I'll have full health Starmie when I come back. And get in my Kingambit. Because I think this is probably Last Respect. But it could be Wave Crash as well, which is fine. They go for Dire Claw into the Starmie slot, which is fine. And they lock into Flip Turn. Okay, that's actually a pretty good spot for me. Yeah, that's a pretty good spot for me. Because Kingambit's healthy. Let's see who they bring out. Their own Kingambit. Okay, that's fine. I don't think they're going to lock into close combat. They could lock into Dire Claw, which is not ideal. But I think my best play is probably just to go for Matcha Gotcha here and a low kick into Kingambit. Because I do need damage on Kingambit. I do have Chople Berry on my Kingambit. They're probably... I don't think you... There's also a Sucker Punch option to Sneasler as well that they could be afraid of. So... It's less inclined that they attack with the Sneasler this turn, which would be really good because a double up into Kingambit would take the knockout, which would be huge. But we'll see. Sneasler protects. Beautiful. I could get the knockout in their Kingambit potentially here, which would be huge for me. Alright, Matcha Gotcha. Also heal back to full, which is nice. I'll get a bit more chip into the Kingambit for the low kick. No burn. Low kick comes out. Now Chople KOs the Kingambit. Beautiful turn. Oh, we get a crit. I don't think it mattered after the chip since it wasn't Chople. If it was Chople, then obviously it mattered. I think without Chople, I think low kick was generally KOing at that range. So we take that. Very nice. Very nice turn. As Floet's going to come in. Okay. Monster is in. But I think if I clear the Sneasler slot, I win the game. So I'm going to Rage Powder with my Sinistcha, and I'm just going to go for Kowtow Cleave into the Sneasler. I think one of the scariest plays, but I don't think they have it, because they revealed Protect and Fake Out. It should not be coaching. So we are going to see the Eternal Float come out, which makes sense. And I Rage Powdered, because I think their only hope is to hope that I didn't CC here, or I didn't Rage Powder here. And I get the Kowtow off into the Sneasler, and then I can threaten the Sucker Punch in the future turns. They do attempt to close combat. Yep. Calm Mind? No, Dazzling Gleam immediately. Okay, that's fine. Yep. As we get the Kowtow off into the Sneasler. Sneasler goes down. Beautiful. I guess Aqua Jet plus the Moonblast will be a little bit scary to deal with. Actually, no, I have a guaranteed line, I think. Yeah, no, I have a good guaranteed line, I think. As long as I KO Float with Starmie, I think that's the only thing I'm a little bit worried about. But we go for Shadow Ball into the Basculegion, which should take the knockout, and we protect the Kingambit. If Sinistcha goes down, that's completely fine for me, because then I just bring in my Sneasler, and we get to scout what the Basculegion locks itself into because it's Scarf, because we confirmed it by going for Flip Turn earlier. So they do go for Jet, which makes sense to me. Yep. That's fine. As they go for Dazzling Gleam. If this KOs, we're in a good spot. If it doesn't, I still think we're in a good spot, assuming that... Okay, it KOs. I assume Shadow Ball does. Oh, not even close, actually. Okay. That is actually kind of concerning. Although, they actually, no, we're fine. They're locked into Aqua Jet. Yeah, they're locked into Aqua Jet. No, I have a line. Yeah, no, I have a good line. As long as Aqua Jet crit doesn't knock out Sneasler here, I think we're good. So we're going to Sucker Punch the Float for a bit of chip. I think we're good, yeah. I thought Shadow Ball was going to do way more to Bass than that, but that works out. Oh. I ideally want Kingambit to go down here, so please KO the Kingambit. I guess this is still fine regardless, even if Kingambit lives, because my line doesn't break if Kingambit survives the Dazzling Gleam. We do go down, which is what I want, because now I get the free switch to Sneasler plus the Starmie, and I can go for Liquidation plus Fake Out. I can Fake Out the Lowet or Float and go for a Liquidation in a Bass. I will take the KO. Then I seal up the endgame of coaching Liquidation into the Float. If Kingambit survived, we would have gone Starmie. We would have protected. We would have gone for the Kowtow into Basque. Take the KO into Basque, and then we would have still won regardless as well. Because they either have to take the knockout into the Kingambit, which means that I always get the same position where I Fake Out plus... Let me just double check that I made sure my moves were correct. Oh, wait. I don't think I made the correct moves. Thank God I double checked. Liquidation and Fake Out the Float. Like, I would have still ended up in this situation because if they double into Starmie on the protects, I get the Kowtow off into the Basculegion. And if they decide, hey, I'm going to knock out the Kingambit, we're in the same situation as before. And of course, Kingambit would have knocked out the Basculegion if they doubled the Starmie to not give me this board position. And I still think I would have probably cleaned up house regardless. So, Basculegion will go down. I think even if Aqua Jet crit knocked out Sneasler, it just came down to did Liquidation KO the Float. But now I just don't have to worry about that because I can just go for coaching into Liquidation, KO the Eternal Float, and that would be GG. Like, I know that some Floats can be pretty physically defensive, so maybe, but coaching with Liquidation from Huge Power Starmie will 100% knock this out. Okay. Nice. Alright. Blow it down, and that is GG. Alright, beautiful. Alright, we have Frostlass, Garchomp, Talonflame, Sneasler, Rotom Wash, Sinistcha. This is definitely a tricky one here. Is this a Sylveon game? Sylveon's actually really good against this team because high special defense. Yeah, I actually like the Sylveon a lot. Sneasler, I'm not a big fan of because it doesn't really do much in this matchup. Coaching's nice, but it's not necessary. I think this is a Sylveon game, which I'm pretty happy to see. I do got to make sure I can beat... I think if I get a Sneasler, Sylveon goes crazy against my opponent. So that's probably to keep in mind. I think Starmie Instant is not a bad lead, though. In general, it's pretty effective against a lot of my opponent's team. With Sylveon, Sinistcha back, because I do want the recovery with Sinistcha. It's good for Sylveon, and it's good for my Starmie. Kingambit doesn't really do much here. It's good into the ghost types, but I don't think I really need it for the most part. With Incin, Sylveon that can switch in. Starmie resists the Blizzard, so it's not that bad. I don't think Frostlass is that crazy of a threat, but we'll see. It can be scary if I'm off position, but I do have a lot of ice resist. Sneasler Talonflame. Okay, the Starmie is a really good lead here. I mean, I just go for... So they can fake out Will-O-Wisp. They can go for Quick Guard if they want. I think my best play is just to Zen Headbutt to Sneasler. I do not think I ever want to risk Incin. So I think I go out into my Sylveon here. Because like what? They could close combat. I don't really like losing the Intim, which is why. I could go Sneasler as well. Or not Sneasler, Sinistcha as well, but I would want to save it for if I want to have the hospitality around. I could also maybe bait Dire Claw so that they potentially focus down the Sylveon in the later turn, so let's see. I think the biggest threat for sure is going to be the Sneasler though. Again, if I get a Sneasler, I'm actually in a really good spot, so we'll see. I'm not really worried about Talonflame after an Intimidate. They protect Sneasler, which makes sense, okay. They double protect on the fake out. Okay, that makes sense. As I went for Zen into the Sneasler. Dire Claw would hurt the Starmie a lot. I'm just worried if it double up KOs the Starmie. They don't have a Zen switch, so I'm willing to hit Zen here. Especially again, Willis Talonflame could be a factor. I think I go to Incin. I don't really love having to go to Incin here, but I think it's the right play. Because I would like the Intimidate in the back for the Garchomp, but I think this is still pretty solid for me with the Intimidate. They go for Tailwind to get the speed control. Makes sense for whatever's in the back that's coming afterward. They go for Dire Claw into the Starmie. Yep. Yeah, I would have taken a lot. No! Okay, that's fine, but that's not ideal. They might double protect again. If they double protect again, I can stall out. I'm just willing to go for liquidation, swap to Sinistcha because I get the hospitality in immediately. That was the risk of Zen. But if they're willing to stay in with the Sneasler, I will go for liquidation now. Because I'm assuming they don't have Whisk, because I think if they had Whisk, they would have gone for it the last turn. They go for protect. Is this double protect again? Stalling out to D or... Okay, they go for dual wing beat in the Starmie, but as you can see, it doesn't really do that much damage. Okay, nice. Very nice. I still think I'll go... I think I'll risk Zen again, though. I think I'm going to risk Zen again. Call me crazy, but I'm willing to risk Zen Headbutt again. And I'm going to Rage Powder with Sinistcha, I think. Because I don't want to take a Dire Claw status on Starmie. Dual Wing Beat. I'll take this with ease. I also don't want to get called out and get close combat on the Incin on the Switch. But they're probably just Dire Claw, Dual Wing Beat, double up the Starmie. Yeah. Okay, we hit the Zen, which is good. So we get rid of the Sneasler. That took way more than it should have. That took way more than it should have, but it's fine. So that's the biggest threat to my Sylveon gone. They should switch out to Talon because Talonflame's really not doing anything for them. Frostlass in. Makes sense. We want to go out into Incin and just protect the Starmie. They could double out the Talonflame, but we get an Intimidate off into whatever comes in for the Talonflame slot, so that's okay. Yep. Garchomp? Rotom. Okay. Maybe I should have went Sylveon immediately, but this is still acceptable. I really wish I didn't have to go through this loop, though. I guess I should have just clicked Liquidation. I wanted to click Zen to cover switches, but the thing is, Sinistcha taking all that damage means that, like, Rotom's a lot trickier now. Is this Shadow Ball or Blizzard? I wouldn't be surprised if it's Blizzard. I should maybe went on the offense then with Starmie. Tailwind peters out. Okay. How do I get my Sylveon in? Okay, I think I see the vision here. I need to go Sylveon now, and I think I have to click Fake Out into the Rotom. Because I can't take a Hydro Pump with Incin. That would be disastrous. So I need to switch out into the Sylveon and probably eat a Blizzard or Shadow Ball. Either one's fine. Fake Out. They do Shadow Ball. Okay. I do take it extremely well, as I mentioned, and Rotom flinches. I think here I need to get a Calm Mind up with Sylveon. Do I go out into Sinistcha? I think I go into Starmie. I don't think I need Starmie to win the game. It's ideal, but I don't think I need it to win. Let's see. It also could just be like Blizzard and T-Bolt, which is fine. Blizzard. Ooh, Sylveon took a lot. Acceptable though. Hydro, yeah. The thing is, if I went into Sinistcha, the problem of going into Sinistcha there was if I went hard into Sinistcha, then the problem was that I'd lose Hospitality and the Hydro Pump would have gone into the Sylveon. Granted, the problem is I don't know how much Hydro Pump would have done, but I still think that this line was better. I go out into Incin. Do I Calm Mind again? I think I just Hyper Voice this time. Every bit of HP matters, so I gotta think about this carefully. How many turns of Snow are left? 2. Actually, no, I think it's Calm Mind Fake Out. I think it's Calm Mind Fake Out. Okay, they stay in. Because I don't think Hyper Voice KOs the Rotom anyway. Blizzard again. Hang on. No! Unfall. I think afterward, Hyper Voice double knocked out. And I don't know if I lived Blizzard. The thing is, I think I would have lived Blizzard and a Hydro Pump, and then I think I could have gotten a double knockout. Because of this, I can't get... I don't think I have a chance now. Maybe I don't knock out the Frostlass, but if I don't knock out the Frostlass, it's fine. It's only the Rotom I really need. Because if I get rid of Rotom, then Incin can win against Talon Frostlass. Oh, that's such a bad one. I need like Hydro Pump dodge into a crit Hyper Voice on both, or at least crit Hyper Voice to Rotom. Man. I mean, I did have to like play around all the Blizzards, but it's like there's not much I can do anyway. Like maybe I could have brought Gambit, but even then, like I think this was one of the better lines to go into this team. Unlucky. I actually do think I would have lived the Blizzard Hydro Pump, I think, after another Calm Mind, because I would have taken a lot less from the Blizzard and then the Hydro Pump would have done nothing. It has not been a lucky day. It has not. Alright, we have Kingambit, Sneasler, Basculegion, Incineroar, Pelipper, Gengar. Let's see, what do I want to go against this team? I see the Mega Evolution is always going to be Gengar. It's the only possible Mega Evolution. Basculegion's scary in rain because Starmie does not like dealing with Basculegion. Though I guess if it's not adaptability, it makes it actually easier for me. And actually the power of like the liquidation in rain is going to be really powerful. The only problem is dealing with the Gengar. Because I don't think this team has like that great of a Gengar matchup, unfortunately. I do have a Kingambit, but it's still not easy. I think I have to go with like Starmie. This is not good. I think Gengar is pretty tough. I think Starmie Incin. Because I want to intimidate into the physical attackers. Oh, wait. If it's... Well... You know what? I'm leaning Starmie Bask instead. Starmie Bask, Incin. Maybe I can bring Sinistcha. Maybe this is where special defensive Sinistcha comes in, actually. Maybe. I don't really want to bring Incin in this matchup because the problem with Incin is it could be White Herb Sneasler, Defiant Kingambit. Basculegion is like still a mon that's going to delete me even after Intimidate, so I don't think it's ever worth it. Gambit, Incineroar. Okay. So this works out in my favor at least. This works out in my favor. Because the Gambit's actually in a pretty prime spot. I think we have to retreat our Starmie. We're going to go out into Sneasler. And we're going to make sure that our Gambit isn't threatened here. I think the next turn is going to be interesting because I can threaten close combat plus a Kowtow into like the Incin and catch a Ghost type potentially, which would be nice. So Sneasler's in a good spot, especially if Gambit protects, which is an interesting protect. Okay, did they parting shot out my Sneasler? No, they went for Wisp. Okay, that makes sense. I could fake out this Incineroar and just low kick the Gambit. There's not really much of a punish for that, I think. Yeah, I don't think there's a punish for that. They could switch out in a Ghost type, and I did think about debating about like pinning the slot, but even then, I still threatened to Sucker Punch into the Bask the next turn, so I don't even think it's that bad. I also get the Fake Out chip into Incin, which should put in range of close combat guaranteed, unless it's Choppleberry. It could be Choppleberry on this team, I suppose, but I feel like with two Ghost types, it's like really unlikely. So I'm gonna go for close combat, and I'm gonna go for a Kowtow into the Incin slot. I guess the Incin could have Protect because it is Perish. It could be Perish on the Mega Gengar, but we're gonna see Bass switch out instead. Is this Gambit? No, Sneasler of their own. Okay, they brought no Mega, no Gengar. Okay. So they were fearing Sucker Punch. I go for the close combat into Incin. I take the knock on Incin. Beautiful. And I get a free Kowtow cleave off into the Sneasler. So this is already looking a lot better. Okay, I'll take it. Kowtow into the Sneasler. Good damage. Let's see what they go for next. Basculegion back in. If Kingambit in the back, I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot. I do have Chopple and Sash, so they can't one-hit KO. They can't knock out my Pokemon with a single hit. They have to double up a slot to take the knockout. I think if I close combat, the Sneasler takes a knockout, and I'm willing to go for a Kowtow into the Bask. You go for Fake Out into the Kingambit, that makes sense. They flip turn, okay. Focus Sash will allow me to hang on. We know it's Scarf Bass. I'm not really worried about Bask. I should get the KO on Sneasler, and then I could probably set up a beautiful endgame against my opponent. I do want to keep Sneasler around, though, assuming I get the KO under their Sneasler. Yeah, I do. Okay. I think my best play the next turn is to switch out into Sinistcha and click Protect, because I get to scout what the Basculegion, probably Scarf, is going to lock itself into, which means then I could Sucker Punch the Bask if it doesn't lock in the Aqua Jet. If it Aqua Jets, then I don't think they're Kowtowing the Sneasler. I think they could Sucker Punch here. And even if they don't, it's fine. Like, then I get a free switch to Sneasler, and I could still Fake Out the Gambit, so I think it still works out no matter what. This could be Aqua Jet low kick as well. Like Aqua Jet, the Sneasler, and low kick. I could see that as well being a play. But Sinistcha should be in a good position. Protect the Gambit into what? They do lock in Aqua Jet with the Basque. Did they kowtow or low kick? Oh, they Swords Dance. Okay, if it's Swords Dance, they probably don't have low kick realistically, so I should win this game no matter what. Yeah, I can just Rage Powder the attacks and go for a kowtow into the Basque. Unless the Basque has Protect. But I don't think so. Aqua Jet flip turn usually indicates it's Scarf. And Swords Dance Gambit also usually confirms it's usually not low kick. It's usually like kowtow, Sucker Punch, Swords Dance, Protect. So we're in a really good shape to win. Day Jet. And kowtow. Actually, is the play to go Sneasler? No, my best play is to go into Starmie. Yeah. My best play is to go Starmie. Because if I fake out, they could just protect so it doesn't get me anything. I guess like close combat low kick is a pin into the Gambit no matter what, right? So I guess there's nothing wrong with going Starmie. There's like a bunch of ways I could win this. I think I'm just going to go Starmie, click Substitute, and I'm going to click low kick. Because I should guarantee to win no matter what. Unless the Gambit maybe Citrus Berry. Are you Citrus Berry low kick Gambit? You have to. That would have to be the set, and even then, that sounds absurd. So they have to low kick first. My Gambit. KO the Gambit. Then Sneasler comes in. I still think I have a solid win. No, yeah, I still feel like I have a solid win. I don't think it's Citrus Berry Gambit that could live 2 liquidations from my huge power Starmie. Let's see. They protect too, so I just get a free substitute, so it's even more cooked for them. So now I threaten with Sneasler as well, so I get liquidation 3 times off in this game. Guaranteed. So yeah, now we just liquidation and we go for a low kick. So we saw Protect, we saw Swords Dance. Did we see Sucker? Did we see an attack from the Gambit? I don't remember. Liquidation. Get damaged. They had to be Citrus. They had to have been Citrus. They weren't Citrus, so like they were guaranteed losing. Yeah, it's Kowtow Sucker as the set. So they had like no chance of winning against this Gambit. Like they led something super weak into Gambit, and they just got really punished for it because they brought in the Sneasler in the back because they boosted my own Gambit, and I actually had like redirection to deal with their Sneasler. Felt I was in a good shape. And that was Mega Starmie. I will say, I do think the team cannot beat Iron Defense Corv if it sets up Iron Defense Corv immediately. That was probably the one match where I just was unable to do anything other than click Rock Slide with Sneasler, and then I just had to go for flinches, and it was just really boring because there were sometimes I got flinches, sometimes I didn't, and yeah, like you can't really break through Iron Defense Corv if it's able to set up Iron Defense immediately. So that was like a big thing, and I faced like 2 of them, which, oh man, that was unlucky, but I do think the team really struggles at hitting that Iron Defense Steel type. It can also struggle against Como as well, mainly because you do have Sylveon with Hyper Voice, because most of them are soundproof, so they actually are immune to Hyper Voice. You do have access to Zen Headbutt with Starmie, but I would say that Como and Corviknight especially are really tough. Like Iron Defense mods are pretty difficult for this team in general. I think Mega Aggron also is probably just a loss because it's really hard to break through the Iron Defense mods. Even with Darkest Lariat, like the boosted Darkest Lariat, even if it's +1 attack from coaching, is just not doing enough, and then the body press will just do too much to the Incineroar. So Iron Defense mods I think are overall one of the weaknesses of the team, but outside of that, I think Mega Starmie is actually really cool. Like, the damage was really nice. Unfortunately, it is limited to probably running the adamant nature most likely in most cases, because the jolly nature, you just lose so much attack points that it doesn't get those knockouts or get those 2 KOs that we saw previously. So it is able to do a ton of damage. I think I respect it a lot more. And yeah, I thought it was a really fun team. The coaching with the Sneasler really was able to provide a lot of support. And of course, Incineroar, Sinistcha, always just going to be good support Pokemon, I think, for any team. But if you'd like to check out the details of the team, as I mentioned before, down below in the description, and of course, subscribe to the channel for more VGC content as always, why not check out another video that we have on the channel? For instance, the last team that we featured on this channel did involve using a team that was able to win the first online tournament with Mega Delphox.